California is supposed to be a liberal paradise, so what's going on? My name is Samuel Ronan, and I hope to be your president one day. And as I just said, isn't California supposed to be the liberal paradise that where all things liberal and Democrat happen, and it's the example for the rest of the country to follow in terms of, liberal policy? So why is Governor Newsome slashing everything that would otherwise benefit citizens? Why in this budget cut are we cutting childcare, healthcare, education, and support services to prevent homelessness? Why aren't we cutting, I don't know, the bloated police budget, for one? The bloated corrections department budget, where an overwhelming number of people are just being thrown into the system for no goddamn reason. Why is it that the Democratic stronghold of America is acting like a Republican stronghold? Now, this next part might sound silly, but there are many of you who have probably seen the movie Civil War, and were scratching your head as to why would Texas and California, of all states, be allied against, at all, for one, but against the other factions in that Civil War. And if you look at California politics, especially Governor Newsome and how he's, acting and behaving, you start to recognize that power is the fundamental driver of politics, right? Of policy. And how does someone stay in power in the United States? Fundraising. And how do you fundraise? By, reaching out to people with the money. And who has the money? Corporations. And how do they spread that money around? Lobbying. So once again, Citizens United making, buying elections legal is once again contributing to the downfall of our society. When you look at a budget, when you look at just the dollars and cents of what goes into a local, a county, a state, a federal budget, you'll notice that the things that would actually do the most good, social safety nets, are the things that are funded the least and then blamed for their failures, and then those safety nets are privatized, sent out to the wayward sun, the four winds, and now become a commodity that only the wealthy can afford, or, the well-off. And so the impoverished who rely on those safety nets continue to struggle because now they have to pay for those safety nets rather than have them provided, meaning what little resources they had to begin with is being extracted further. And when you start looking at it from that perspective, you'll notice that regardless of Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative, left-leaning or right-leaning, all of the policies by those in charge are focused on the extraction because they want to get reelected, because they want to stay in power. And the only way to do that is to win elections, and the only way to do that is to fundraise. People power has its place. People power is a strength that we can leverage. What we lack, however, is cohesion and unity of purpose. That's why all of these social movements that seemingly pop up out of nowhere, such as the George Floyd protests, the Black Lives Matter protests, the women's rights protests, and the ongoing student encampments, they seem like they are individual activities, but they're usually sparked by one having the courage to do it, and then others follow. The problem is they're still not unified, right? These encampments are protests, but they're not creating demands per se. Some of them are, and some of them are doing a great job in leveraging their position, right? There have been several universities that have divested from the military-industrial complex. The point being, if all of these encampments started working together in concert and helped set up more and additional and actually creating a cohesive resource pool to bring it up to the state and even federal level to divest accordingly, we could once again achieve popularity, some true democracy in our country. And that's the point. Governor Newsome is a result of capitalist influence in our society. He is a product of that corruption. And the student protests and all these other popular, shall we say, civic disobedience activities is a result of countering that nonsense. What we need to do is start standing united and educating and supporting one another, and we can hold the Governor Newsomes of our country accountable.